over the Labor Day weekend, Trump said that he plans to issue a new executive order that would basically be a federal takeover of our electoral system. In fact, on Truth Social, okay, the president, yes, I know.
Truth, essential.
He posted this. Voter ID must be part of every single vote, no exceptions. I will be doing an executive order to that end. Also, no mail-in voting, except for those that are very ill and the faraway military. Use paper ballots only. President DJT. Now, look, this is obviously unconstitutional. Regardless of how you feel about voter ID, the Constitution does not give the president the power to do a takeover of elections. Period. But what it's doing in red states is giving lawmakers there the impetus and a plan to further enact voter ID requirements. Okay, so, and to restrict elections. Now, here's the thing, right? Every time I do one of these segments about voter ID, I get some people in the comment sections, even some people that, say like, oh yeah, I'm on the left and I see the way that Europe does things and Europe does voter ID. Okay, so let me address that real quick, all right? I'd actually be okay with some form of voter ID, but only if it were free and automatic. Right? Kind of like automatic voter registration. I mean, for example, you hit the voting age and the government just automatically sends you a voter card free of charge. It's got all your info on it. And then there you go. Go vote. What if you lose it? Well, don't worry. They've got a record of sending you that ID. And so therefore you don't even really need it. There's a record of it. Okay. So there you go. It's got all your info. You're all set to vote. No problem. Now, if you're homeless or you move, maybe you give them a call or something, or you travel to an office if you're able to, and they set you up with a current card or whatever. Okay. And now that system, understand that any voter ID system is still going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. And still, personally, I think it would be unnecessary. But the sake of argument on voter ID, if they did something like that, I could live with it. I mean, I already live in a state where we already have voter ID. So when I go to vote, I have to present my license. Okay, so that's why I'm saying I can live with that. But that is not what the current voter ID system is. It is filled with fees. It is filled with costs. It is filled with wait times. Okay, and not everybody has the time to do that. This system that we have now puts up barriers in front of specifically elderly and disabled voters, as well as people who live in rural areas or inner cities, people that do not have the time or the money or maybe even the transportation needed to go get a government ID. And remember, there are only specific types of IDs that are accepted. Can't use student ID, even though it is an ID that has your name and your picture on it. Nope, it can't use that. But, you can use an ID, for example, related to your gun registration, I believe. Something like that. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. But not a student ID. Yes, very clear. Very clear what they're doing here. Again, voter ID, as it currently stands, impacts minority communities more heavily than white communities and people who are poor and or disabled. And that is basically the point, because a lot of those voters tend to be more Democrats. They're obviously trying to stop primarily Democratic voters from turning out in federal elections. There is a reason for that. Okay. Which is also why Trump is trying to ban mail-in ballots, despite having used them himself. He is a hypocrite. Oh, what a surprise! What a shocker! But not really. No. Look, at the end of the day, these executive orders, like many of his executive orders, are blatantly unconstitutional. Now, one of the problems is he keeps cranking them damn things out and bogging down the courts. The courts cannot get to these orders and block them fast enough. And that is pretty much what they're counting on. Look, the states, the Constitution clearly gives them the primary authority to regulate their own elections, right? And not only that, but it also empowers Congress to, at any time by law, make or alter such regulations. So now, if they really wanted to, Congress is back. Congress is back. So Congress could pass a law. They could, yes, but they would actually have to go through the democratic process in order to do so. Flooding the zone, exactly. But again, the president cannot oversee elections. He cannot take over elections. He is not a dictator or a king. Period. That said, the March executive order directed the Attorney General to take all the necessary actions in order to prevent ballots mailed before Election Day, but which arrive after, from being counted. And they're doing that, of course, because of the whole red mirage. Okay? Remember, these are legal ballots. These are legal votes from legal voters that he does not want counted because a lot of them tend to be Democrats. That's it. That's really it. Now, that said, Republicans actually have used mail-in voting almost as much as Democrats do. And so, I mean, will he end up hurting himself, his own voters? Well, look, a lot of things that Trump has already done has hurt his own voters. But you know what? He doesn't care about that. He already got into power, and he did say, oh, you just have to vote for me this last time, and then you'll never have to vote again. I mean, that sounds a little concerning, right? When you say, well, you'll never have to vote again. Never. Wait, is that because you are trying to become the dictator of the United States? Yeah, there's some big concerns there. Okay, huge concerns. But look, these are mainly Democratic voters that he's trying to stop from turning out. Okay, that order, by the way, also held up in court because it's wildly unconstitutional. At the end of the day, I think we should be making voting easier, not more difficult. There's no legitimate reason for any of this stuff. None. The amount of voter fraud is about 0.3%. Okay? The number of illegals voting in elections is even less. Okay? A handful within the last 20 years or so. These are not real issues. Okay? The real issue is voter suppression, which these measures obviously do. And that is the point. That is the purpose. Again, I go back to every time I talk about this issue, every time I talk about voting, voter suppression, etc., I go back to Paul Weyrich, the godfather of the modern conservative movement, who famously said, we do not want more people voting. We do not want more people to vote. We don't want good government because, that's against our aims. Our aims are to dismantle government and sell it off to corporations. But what he said in the Goo Syndrome speech, and you can look it up. I show it here all the time, but if you haven't seen it, I would be shocked. But nonetheless, if you haven't seen it, Paul Weyrich, Goo Syndrome, look it up. He basically admits that, yeah, we like voter suppression. We want to suppress votes because when more people show up and vote, we lose. We tend to lose elections, and we don't want that to happen. So, yeah, when people turn out, we lose. But when people don't show up or when people are suppressed, then we win. We cheat. That's it. And they have continued to follow that playbook even after, I believe, Weyrich on his deathbed was like, ooh, my bad. Not, maybe I was a bad person in my life, and yeah, I regret it. They continued using his playbook anyway. Okay? They depress turnout. They gerrymander the hell out of districts. It's like what they're doing in Texas. Okay? And have obviously been using social media to lie, to make people believe that there's a rash of illegal voters that are using the mules to harvest the ballots and all these terrible things, right? Conspiracy theories. That's what they're doing. These conspiracy theories are spread with the goal of making sure that Republicans win elections. And it has been wildly successful, while, of course, keeping the opposition at home. And again, the opposition, Democrats have been bringing a knife to a gunfight for the past 30, 40 years, okay? I mean, you could even call them, controlled opposition if you want, who never seem to be able to fight, to put up a real challenge against any of this crap Republicans are pulling. Oh, don't boo, vote. Oh, you've been suppressed? Can't really do anything about that. Oh, what can we do? We have no leverage. Well, there you go. But nonetheless, these Republicans will continue to cheat and rig these elections. Yes, I believe voter suppression is rigging, making it sure that, people can't show up to vote, which basically stops them from having a government that represents them. Yeah, it's rigging to me. So that's what they're doing. That's what the plan is. And Trump is just continuing to enact it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.